Hey guys, Marc from parkflyers.com. Today we're looking at a very special car, often overlooked. It's the Slash VXL two-wheel drive with the Magnum transmission. This retails for $379.99. Now this car comes with TSM. That means their traction stability management and their VXL 3500 motor. It's very powerful, very fast. It'll work on 2 or 3S. Now the customer called me up and he wanted this car, but he wanted me to set it up for basically asphalt driving at high speeds. He drove his friend's car and he wasn't happy with the way it kept flipping and rolling over. This car out of the box comes with the Slash. It's the LCG chassis, which is the high center of gravity chassis. It's really for off-road use and not really meant for asphalt or hard pack. So the customer called me up and said, Marc, listen, I want to have this car handle like a slot car on the street. I want to give high throttle racing and I don't want it to flip so much. So the first thing we did is we installed the LCG chassis from Traxxas. It's $39.99. We have it on the website if you want to buy it. Very cheap and very easy to install. It takes about 45 minutes and all the hardware and everything just gets removed and you basically put it on the new chassis and the car is basically lowered by about an inch, and it really does help the handling. It keeps all that weight down low, and that is the first step in making this car handle really good on something like asphalt. The second thing we did was actually we experimented with shocks. So the stock shocks that come with it really were originally designed for the Bandit and the Rustler, a much smaller and a much lighter car. We felt that every time we took this out to drive it, the car was spinning. The rear end was sagging. The front really doesn't have a lot of articulation in it. Kind of felt dead. And really, these shocks are overworked when you use them in a car this size. So we took them out right away. Now we did something interesting, not typical of something that we usually do. Usually we stick on this channel. We keep the brands together. Like we would put a pair of Traxxas GTR shocks on this car, which would work and would make the car handle a lot better. But in this instance, I decided I wanted to try the MT10 shocks from Team Associated and put it in the car. I put 45 weight oil in front and rear, and I actually went out and did some testing. What I found was that the car handled a lot better. There was no leaning in the turning. There was no spinning out. Everything was just much better. So these shocks are much more alive, much more articulate. If I push down in the car, I mean, it's a non-scientific show of what I'm talking about, but look how nicely the shocks articulate. You know, the stock shocks really, they don't articulate well and they cause, let's say, the rear end to sag and the front just doesn't move that smoothly. The machine work on the bodies of these particular shocks are excellent. If you take them apart to fill them with oil, you'll see the piston goes up and down the casing very smoothly, and for the price, for $50 on each side of this for a pair, so it's basically $100 for a full set. But for that price, we think you're getting a very good deal. The shocks are unbelievable. They're definitely a bigger bore, a lot bigger bore and higher volume than these shocks. The springs are longer and stronger. The springs have a larger diameter, so the articulation, like I said, is there. What ends up happening is you take this out and the car just hooks up. It handles great. Off-road, it's even really a good story because you have that articulation. It's very smooth through the rough stuff. So you're really getting the best of both worlds here. The other thing that we did was we took off the short course wheel because these sit up high and we wanted to get the car down low and basically hook up on the asphalt. We went with the Lewis RC Rocket STs. These are stadium truck size tires. They're about 1/4 of an inch in diameter, smaller than a short course tire, and you definitely notice a difference when you put it on the car and drive around fast. You're basically going to have like a little land missile here. The Fox Edition body, in my opinion, is the nicest body that Traxxas makes for short course trucks. I hope they continue licensing from Fox and make different bodies. All the customers seem to gravitate towards this body, and the sales of these cars are a little bit higher than the regular bodies, I noticed. So if Traxxas is watching this, we want more Fox bodies. Everybody agrees that these are the bodies that people like. It's not just the branding, it's the design of the colors. It doesn't look generic. It's actually something that most people would aspire to, to paint if they could. It's very hard to replicate something like this if you're doing painting yourself. So it's a beautiful car, and now we made it handle really, really nice. Now, just so you know, I did experiment with a lot of configurations on these shocks. I put shock limiters in them. I did different things. basically they run the best stock. No limiters in them. Like I said, 45 weight oil. I think they come with 30. You can leave it. It's not the end of the world if you leave the 30 weight oil in them. But for our purposes on asphalt, we went with the 45 weight. We thought it was a little bit nicer. And overall, the car is really something that is special, and it really handles a lot better than it did out of the box. So let's recap. LCG chassis, MT10 team associated shocks, 45 weight oil in the shocks, and we used the Lewis RC Rocket ST tires. Now, just so you know, we did balance. We did have to use our little balancer from Team Associated here, and we balanced one of the tires in the rear. They were out of balance, so now the car runs really true. A lot of people don't balance their tires, especially on two-wheel drive cars. You want to do that. The wheels are spinning at high RPM. You don't want any bobbing or imbalance in the tire. It's going to upset the whole feel of the car and the way the car handles. These are very, very inexpensive. We have them on the website. I think they're about 35 bucks. But a wheel balancer is really something that you want to do. The other thing we did to make this handle perfectly is we use our J Concepts camber gauge. It's machined aluminum. We gave every corner -1 degree. It's a really good place to start, and it does enhance the handling quite a bit. All right, guys, so one of the most important tuning aspects for the car is tuning the differential. Now, unfortunately, the Magnum transmission that comes with the car comes with 500K stuffed into it. It's easily replaceable. You want to put 15K in there. It's going to let it act more like a differential, and it's going to make the car transition in and out of turns much more smoothly. It's going to definitely make the car not push when coming out of a turn on power, and you're definitely going to want to do the 15K. We recommend the Kyosho grease. We have it on our website. It's really good. You're going to fill up the differential, and you're going to make sure that it's I would say 90% filled. Leave a 1 millimeter gap before you close the top of it. It should run perfect. Now, I want to talk about something that a lot of people are maybe overlooking. I just wanted to point it out. Traxxas over the years is basically continuously improving the durability of their cars. On this particular car, they have the HD parts front and rear. The front caster blocks, the steering carriers, and the rear bearing carriers are all improved with basically better plastics and better design. They're a lot more durable than in the past, so when you're driving this and you're hitting things, they're not usually going to break. I sell very little of those. I don't even think I've sold even one yet where somebody broke any of the newer parts. So part sales are definitely down. However, people are buying them to put on their older cars. The one thing about Traxxas, which is very smart, is they keep their ecosystem the same. So if you have this like an old chassis, it's the same chassis. If you have an older car, you can take all the HD parts and put them on the older car and bring it up to 2025 spec, which is really cool. So I like what Traxxas is doing by slowly, incrementally, you basically increasing the durability of each part of the car. Now let's talk about the Magnum transmission here, because that is definitely a lot more durable than the past transmissions. The transmissions in the past, they had a part in them, they had this little roll pin that would always break under extreme acceleration and use, and they basically got rid of the pin and they keyed the gear to the actual shaft. So there is no way that can break. We're not seeing any failures on the Magnum transmissions, and the end result is that customer satisfaction goes way up. So they're increasing the durability of their gearboxes, they're increasing the durability of all the components in the cars. Everything is just coming together, and you really have a solid car in 2025. So all these things make a difference. When the customer buys a car from me and they give me their trust, I actually make sure the car will drive perfect when they pick it up. And I do all the tuning here. If anybody wants a car or put together a package, just let me know. 1-800-470-8932. Ask for Mark. I think the customer for this car is going to be quite happy. It does handle significantly better than in stock form. The car will corner at much higher speeds, and it's going to really handle more like a racing machine than a short course truck. And we absolutely love it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us on this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.